here we go again. We have to discuss The Little Mermaid because The Little Mermaid is trying to do its typical PR stunts that they do before a new Disney film releases that has a black main lead. They want to talk about how the fans are preemptively racist. They want to talk about how the person who is playing the main character has to deal with racism. They want to make all of this about race because that way, when the movie comes out and is proven to be a flop, they can completely blame racism because it's the easiest, laziest thing to do. Minorities have literally become shields for people to try to deflect criticism on their movies and TV shows, and it's just an easy way out for Disney and Hollywood as a whole. Now, with that being said, we do have an article from Bounding Into Comics that says Disney's live action The Little Mermaid star Halle Bailey dismisses backlash against the film as purely racist, and she says, as a black person, you just have to expect it. Now, I had a kind of like a tirade on Saturday Night Hypnosis about this because it just blows my mind that there's people in Hollywood, minorities especially, blacks, Hispanics, and things of that nature, they're willing to completely sell themselves simply to be the white man's shield. That's essentially what they're doing here. They're willing to admit, for the right money, of course, that black people are oppressed, Hispanics are oppressed, everybody except white people are oppressed, and that you just have to expect racism from the same people you're trying to make a movie for. It's very weird. Like, if you know that all of these fans are supposedly racist, why are you bothering to make a movie for those said fans? Why are you even going down that rabbit hole if you know that that's the kind of actions that these people are going to take? Now, of course, they never provide any evidence of said racism because they don't have any evidence. It's just literally them saying it because it allows them to deflect criticism. But let's see what Bounding Into Comics has to say. So it says, in doing her part to set up the tired media defense that any criticism of the latest product, TM, is based solely on bigotry, Disney's live action The Little Mermaid remake star Halle Bailey recently claimed that she found the backlash against the film's announcement to be expectedly racist. Now again, before we get into the whole racism thing, I just don't understand why. And again, there are going to be people who, all over Twitter, although they've been very quiet lately, those same people, they've been very quiet lately, because I started asking them questions that they don't have answers for, and I really hate that because their argument that they use to defend the race swapping of characters is a lazy argument that holds no water. Simply put, they love to say that they are fictional characters and they mean nothing, and that their race means nothing to the character. That's the argument that they always make. There's two issues with that argument that I have. Number one, the biggest issue is that if it doesn't matter, why did it matter for you to see yourself? Why is it that all these actors and actresses come out and say, finally, those little black kids, those little Hispanic kids, they'll finally be able to see themselves in said movie. This is so amazing. This is progress. If it's so important for you to see yourself in these characters that supposedly mean nothing, why do they mean anything? I don't understand. Why did you do it? If they don't mean anything, they cannot be important enough for you to see yourself in it, and then they cannot be not important enough to maintain the character's original design. So you cannot have those two things. So you're full of shit in that aspect, number one. Number two, the biggest other problem with this is that the argument is never consistent. It doesn't hold any water. So when they say, Little Mermaid, her being black or white has nothing to do with the character, it doesn't change the story at all. So when I then provide examples for them to race swap black characters that their blackness has nothing to do with their character, and you can 100% race swap them, all of a sudden they all go quiet. All of a sudden, they just want to call me a bigot and start throwing out names and stuff because they have no argument. They realize their argument holds no water. There is plenty of black characters out there that could be race swapped into white, but they never are. They could be race swapped into Hispanic, and they almost are never done so because, simply put, the argument ever only goes one way. And that's why people have such a problem with the race swapping. And see, again, I'm going on a tirade here because this shit is just so lazy to me. I don't take anybody serious who's perfectly okay, especially since I'm a minority talking to other minorities out there. If you're perfectly fine with the sloppy seconds of a white man simply because they told you that they're the only valid characters out there for you to see yourselves in, then you could go fuck yourself because honestly, you're doing nothing to help anybody other than the white man. And they know it, and you know it too, but as long as you get paid for it, it's all good. It says Bailey offered her latest thoughts on the discourse surrounding Disney's latest cash grab during an interview given to the fashion and style-centric magazine The Face, who bizarrely, as seen in the image below, treated her interview with all the care and style of a 1990s GeoCities site. Very weird, that whole design, but okay. Reflecting on the public's noted and widespread rejection of The Little Mermaid's first teaser trailer, a response largely fueled by the terrible quality of the film's visuals and Disney's decision to once again play into identity politics by race swapping one of their classic characters rather than the presence of a black person specifically, Bailey asserted, "I know people are like, it's not about race, but now that I'm her, Following her brief trailing off as she searched for the right words to convey her point, the actress then added, "People don't understand that when you're black, there's this whole other community. It's so important for us to see ourselves." Again, again, there is so much black entertainment and media out there, okay? Here's another thing too, statistically speaking, Halle Bailey. Black people consume media almost twice that of second place, okay? Black people consume media more than any other race on the planet that I know of anyway. With that being said, how is that possible if all of a sudden there was no media up until recently of black people to see themselves? That's because there was media out there that black people were consuming regardless of race, because people aren't truly racist like that when it comes to media, but you're trying to placate this narrative, you're trying to play that out there and up until out there for people to consume, like, oh no, up until recently black people only allowed to see themselves. Why do you need to see yourself in a white cartoon, Halle Bailey? Why couldn't you see yourself in a black IP that is either original or is known to be a black IP? Why couldn't you do that? There are a ton of superheroes that have never been touched, and there are plenty of black superheroes that have never been touched. There's plenty of black characters that have never been touched. RIP to Gabby, who was the true black mermaid. You didn't bother touching her because you knew there was no clout in that mermaid. You had to take the white one. You had to take the one that the white man told you was valid, that was the only valid one for the black man to take, and they're giving you sloppy seconds of it. This is what you're okay with. You're perfectly fine with this because it allows you to get paid for it while pushing a racist narrative that Disney's trying to put out there. Again, I think it's ridiculous that there's people out there that are trying to say, oh, we need to see ourselves. See yourselves in what? Fictional characters that you said don't matter? All of a sudden now they matter for you to see yourself? It's weird. Like, you have to have a consistent argument here. What is the problem with being consistent? I don't understand. As a black person, you just expect it, and it's not really a shock anymore, she said of the backlash. When my sister Chloe and I first signed to her record label, Parkwood, Beyonce was always like, I never read my comments. Don't ever read the comments. Honestly, when the teaser came out, I was at the D23 Expo, and I was so happy I didn't see any of the negativity. Bailey then turned to the previous reports that justified Disney's race swapping based on the reports that young black girls were supposedly excited to see someone who looked like them on screen, recalling how her family and friends subsequently took to sending her an almost overwhelming amount of videos showing such reactions. Yeah, the problem with that is most of those videos were fake as shit. If you truly believe that all those videos on TikTok were all real and they weren't parents trying to adhere to the whole racism narrative by filming their kids, telling them exactly what they told them to say. Okay, baby, here you go. I'm going to start recording, and when I do, you need to say the following words, okay? Look at the screen, point, and say, Mommy and Daddy, look, it's me on screen. And then when I say stop, you're going to stop, and I'll edit it later, okay, babe? That's exactly what happened for, I would say, 90% of those fucking videos. Sure, there's little kids out there that are perfectly happy. They don't realize how this whole thing is being spun, and they see a black girl on screen. Maybe they do care. I would guarantee you most of them don't. It's actually like a meme. I can't pull up the meme because I don't remember where I saw it, but it's like a meme that I saw recently where there is a picture of a black girl looking on the screen and saying, hey mom, look, I see myself on screen, and it's the Little Mermaid. And then the second picture of the meme, it's literally a bunch of kids, like 10, 20 kids, black, white, Hispanic, all looking at anime, seeing themselves in Goku, seeing themselves in Vegeta, seeing themselves in One Piece, seeing themselves in My Hero Academia, seeing themselves in all these content that doesn't have to do with race, right? And it's amazing. It's such a lazy narrative that they couldn't see themselves beforehand, all because of skin color. Skin color is the easiest denomination you can make about someone because they had no say in the skin color that they came out. You have no say. You want to reduce everything to the skin color of the person. You know how lazy that is? You have no say in the skin color you come out as. Zero. So why would you make this the most important thing about whether or not you see yourself in a character that is so much more deeper than skin color? It means nothing. But again, they want to adhere to the lowest common denominator, so they're trying to get people to see things as such a low common denominator as skin color. It says, I was crying all night for 2 days. Yeah, I'm sure you were. Just staring at them in disbelief, she told The Face. It makes me feel more grateful for where I am. I don't believe you for a fucking second that you cried nonstop. Just stop with this whole, oh, I cried. Oh, it was so amazing. Shut up with that shit. Ultimately, Bailey closed out her thoughts on the topic of stepping into the shoes of such a well-established cultural icon as Ariel, as well as those of the protagonist, Nettie, in the upcoming musical film adaptation of The Color Purple, by explaining when you're doing a remake of anything, everyone's going to be like, well, this isn't how I liked it in the original. I hope people like my versions of the characters in The Color Purple and The Little Mermaid, she declared, but at the same time, I'll respect it if they don't. Well, you obviously don't. You obviously don't respect it because you think that they are clearly very racist. And I think it's hilarious, too. We pointed this out on stream, and then I'm going to close out the video. It's hilarious that the Little Mermaid in this footage right here, you see her original, actual, real hair. I'm going to assume that's her real hair. And then you see a white woman's hair. Like, why did you give her a white woman's hair? What happened to the actual locks that she had? What happened to the braids that she had? I mean, I remember seeing her with braids. What happened to that? Why did she get the white girl's hair? I mean, come on, bro. This shit. And then she's going after the white dude. The white dude's I mean, oh my god. It's just it's ridiculous, man. It really, really, really is lazy at the end of the day. And honestly, I'm just sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I'm sick of the tired argument. That argument holds no water. You have people really, really holding on to those sloppy seconds because they love just sticking it to the white man. They don't want to admit that they're happy about these race swaps only because they feel like they're sticking it to the white man who they all blame for everything. That's the only reason why they're happy about it. It's not with the actual swapping of the character itself. It's not this whole, oh, we get to see ourselves bullshit. It has to do with sticking it to the white man who, guess what? If you look at Disney and everybody in charge at Disney who's really pulling the strings, who's really making the decisions, all of them are a white man in a suit. So good for you, I guess. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.